Welcome to Tech Recipes.
Hello friends, in this video we are going to see what is a countdown latch in Java and how to use it. We are going to see one practical example and with which we can see how you can use a countdown latch in your own application. So let's get started. So what is a countdown latch? If we look at the definition that is given in the Java doc, we can see that countdown latch is a synchronization aid that allows one or more threads to wait for set of operations being performed in other threads to complete. So let's try to break down this and understand what this sentence means. The first thing is it is a synchronization aid. By synchronization aid, it means it is used whenever there are multiple threads and which need to synchronize in between them. Okay, so what this allows one thread or maybe more threads. Let's for clarity consider one thread, and it allows it to wait for set of operations being performed in some other thread. So this is the definition. So if you have a main thread or if you have a Java application which is getting started, and say you want to wait for 3 or 4 services to complete, and only then you want to start your application. So in such a scenario we can use a countdown latch so that we can allow our main thread to wait for those operations to complete. Now let's see some other properties of countdown latch. So countdown latch, it is initialized with a given count. So we always specify a number, or which number is a number of operations for which we need to wait. That is provided when we are creating a countdown latch. Now there is another await method. So this await method, which is used to basically block your thread until this count reaches 0. Okay, and there is another method which is countdown, which is called by the operations actually, and this countdown will reduce this count. So we are going to see one example that will clarify you this thing more, but for now just keep in mind that await allows you to block and countdown basically reduces the count. Now in case of countdown latch, the count cannot be reset. So once it reaches the 0, we cannot use this countdown latch again. If you want to use something for this, there is another construct called cyclic barrier. We will see this in another video. So now let's try to understand how the countdown latch works with one example. Consider that you have a main method and there are 3 services which are going to be run in different threads which need to be started once our main starts, and we want main to wait for these services to initialize. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to create one countdown latch of count 3 because we want to wait for 3 services. And once we create this countdown latch, we are going to call these 3 services from the main method. Okay, and to wait for these services to complete, we are going to call await. So await is a method which is going to block our main method. It will block it until this count reaches to 0. Okay, so now when service 1 is initialized, we are going to call countdown on the same object. So this countdown latch object we need to share with each running service threads. So once service 1 is complete, it will call the countdown, and that will reduce the count from 3 to 2. When service 2 is complete, it will also reduce the count from 2 to 1, and when the service 3 is complete and it calls the countdown will reduce to 0. And once countdown reaches 0, this await will be unblocked and main thread will continue its execution. So if you see here what has happened, so main thread can wait for these 3 services to complete its initialization, and based on the countdown it knows that these services are initialized. Now instead of 3, what would have happened if we have specified 2 here? In this case, the count would reach to 0 as soon as service 2 is complete, and main thread can resume from here itself rather than waiting for service 3. So if a countdown latch count is 2, it will wait for 2 services to initialize. If it is 3, it will wait for all the 3 services to finish their initialization and call the countdown method. Now let's look at the code. Let's go and write a practical example with this thing in mind and see how it works. So I have set up a Maven project here in IntelliJ. All the code is available in the GitHub links shared in the description, so you can download the code from there. I will simply create some project structure here, maybe a package to keep our concurrency related code. And for this current example, which is for countdown latch, I will create another package. Now within this package, let's create another class, a countdown latch example. Now let's write main method. Now if you remember, the problem that we are trying to solve here is this: we need to have a one main method, and which will call three services in a different thread, and we will create a countdown latch of count 3 and we will pass it to these three services, and these three services will call the countdown method once the service is completed. So let's first create a countdown latch. We need to create a class. Let's write a class service. Since we need to create a thread, we will create a runnable implementation. We need to add a run method. Let's override the run method. Now this class, we need to pass a countdown latch as a argument. So let's add a constructor for this class with countdown latch as one argument. We will also make sure that this service takes some time. So for that, let's pass a wait time, and this value we will use so that each service will take some random amount of time, say 2 seconds, 3 seconds, that way. Now we need to assign these values to local variables. So let's create instance variable for both these variables. Now within run method, let's log that thread name so that we know like which thread is started and which thread is finished. Maybe let's write down first log service started, and let's print the name of the current thread. There is a thread.currentThread.getName method, and we can use it to print the current thread's name. Now we will just add some waiting condition so that this process will take some time, and we will use the wait time variable that we have set. Now the sleep method throws interrupted exception, so I just surrounded it with try and catch block. Let's add another sysout here so that we know that service is completed. At the end of the service, we need to call the method countdown so that the main in the main thread we know that the service is completed. Now we need to create 3 threads using this service class. Okay, so let's copy paste this code, and we will start 3 services. Now each service will take different amount of time. First service I have put 2 seconds, second service will take 3 seconds, and third will take 7 seconds. Now we want main thread to wait for all these threads to finish, so we will add the countdown latch.await at the end of it. So let's add another log here. Main thread completed. This way we know that main thread is waiting for all the 3 services to complete. Let's run it again. Now here both the 3 threads are started. First service thread 0 is completed, then thread 1, then thread 2. You see the main thread is completed once all the 3 services are initialized. basically we are starting 3 services and countdown latch is 3. So if we make the countdown latch as 2, the main thread will only wait for first 2 thread services. So let's see what happens when we make a countdown latch as 2. You can see once the 2 services are completed, main thread got completed and last service got completed after that. So main thread only waited till count reaches 0 from 2. So it only waited for first 2 services. And same way, if I reduce the countdown latch and reduce it to 1, will only wait for first thread to complete it. So main thread completed as soon as the first thread got completed. So this is the example for how we can use countdown latch